Come, hold my hand. Let's go on an adventure. Okay, I'm going to be really awkward for a second. Ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Hi, welcome to Momatic Adventures. We're here with Erin O'Connor. I'm your host, Effie McMorris, and we are going to talk about parenting and kids. And Erin, you tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So I'm a first grade teacher and I'm in a inclusion setting. So what that is there's two teachers in the classroom, one for the general ed students, and then my role would be to help the students who need more inclusive practices. So I'm a special education teacher who helps those kids kind of differentiate and modify their social and academic stuff to keep them in the general education setting with as many kids as possible. So it's sort of new teaching practice, and I'm really enjoying it.
I have a question, and I'm gonna sound a little dumb probably. So essentially, you help kids in a public school setting.
Correct.
Stay in a public school setting for as long as possible because it's so difficult to find those settings that help maybe a child who has special needs or maybe a speech impediment or English as a second language, or
Correct.
What are the levels of...
So these kids would always stay in the public school setting, but the idea is to keep them in the general ed setting with as many students instead of in a classroom that's kind of secluded and keeping them away from the majority of their peers. I do help students with many different disabilities. So we have students with autism, language delays, processing disorders, just to kind of help give them that extra tools and support to keep them with the rest of the peers that they have.
Awesome. I love that because, I mean, I think it was really important having the same friends essentially for all of those years. And I know we did have kids who maybe went into different classrooms for certain subjects, and that separation, I think, especially in those younger years when you're trying to figure out who you are, having that separation can kind of hurt and make you more concerned about that as opposed to the learning.
Right. And then it also is teaching the kids who don't have those disabilities sort of empathy and patience for everyone with the different abilities around them.
I love that you say that because I find that I'm learning now more because I'm in a setting where I'm homeschooling and traveling with a child who is learning in all these different settings. She meets different people. We learn empathy. We get to practice our skills with different people. So I find that is helpful for both of us in learning how to be empathetic. What is a normal day for maybe a kid who has an attention disorder and just can't sit still? What does a day look like for you and for them?
I mean, it's challenging trying to fit, because like you said, everyone is different in a different environment. So the way we go about our classroom is just keeping a lot of movement in the learning environments, and then also just keeping open discussions. So I'm very much the type where I'm not going to say, no, you can't do that. I'm going to say, no, you can't do that because maybe this is unsafe for that child. Hey, when we're eating, we need to sit down, not just sit down, you're eating. So kind of teach the context behind it so that we're all kind of on the same page.
And really helping create that like inner dialogue of, okay, I have to sit because, you know, oh, I'm being told to sit. That cause and effect of I need to sit because this is the safer way for me to be.
Exactly.
As opposed to I have to sit because Miss O'Connor told me to.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. And when you say active, what does activity look like?
We have a very loud and active classroom. So a lot of our learning happens in small centers. So we meet the kids better when they're learning in small group settings. So we break the kids into 5 or 4 groups with about 5 in each group. And then they rotate through the classroom. 2 are teacher-led. They'll do like hands-on explicit modeling with us where we're teaching them a new skill. And then the other 2 are independent. And we try to keep that more hands-on. So if we're doing reading or learning a new phonics skill, they're using Play-Doh or Legos to build words that include that skill, to kind of keep it more like fun.
Also, I love the idea of teacher-led learning and then child-led learning, because so often, at least when I was in school, I always felt like, okay, but why am I learning this? Why am I reading this book? Okay, because we are. And I guess I never learned that love of learning. And I love the idea of giving the child the autonomy to learn at their pace, how they want to. And
the keeping those multi-sensory approaches to is supposed to build a more deeper understanding of the language. So giving them that, like, the songs with it, the hands-on learning kind of meets them at those different sensory, like, styles of learning.
Remember, sit down, shut up. We're learning now.
Yeah.
It's so, I feel like it doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. And, like, who is it fun for?
No, not me. Not the teacher. But yeah, then it kind of motivates them. Like, when they see the Play-Doh come out, they're like, oh, great. Like, I'm so looking forward to doing my reading centers now because I also get to use the Play-Doh with it. Or the Legos for the kids who like the building that way. Probably not going to get sponsored by Lego, but like my 1.5-year-old, or not even 1.5-year-old, absolutely loves Legos. How did they come up with such a revolutionary concept and now adults are like, oh yeah, I got my $800 like spaceship set, and like, yeah, it's a craze now. Well, we have traveled to a couple different libraries where they have Lego like creative sets where these kids actually create Legos like sets just from their, like, they invent a Lego set that someone would buy and then they work with the kids to send it to Lego and be like, hey, you should consider this. Yeah, which I'm like, that's so fucking cool. Oh, that is really cool. And Legos aren't cheap, so it's nice that the library like has that opportunity for them. Yeah, 100%. And it definitely creates that connection in their like creative neuron firing systems, as well as their like tactile and engineer. What is engineering? It's a creative outlet. It's a technical study. Who knows? I mean, it's definitely doing a deeper learning for them because so much stuff is getting built into that. What age group do you normally teach? So I have first graders. They'll be 6 and then turn 7 during the school year. My favorite number is 7, and I don't know why. I think 7's got to be like the best age to be, because like you're not stressed yet. No. Well, you're not as stressed yet, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Is it fun? Are they stressed? They're so innocent. Like, nothing's malicious. If they do something wrong, it's just coming from a place of, like, hey, I haven't learned that yet. Like, help me, teach me. Not like, hey, I know this is bad and I'm going to do it to get under your skin. Yeah. So it's very innocent. And then you really get to teach them a lot. Like, tying shoes, like that's something that's a skill that they're learning now. Yeah, so you start the school year with some kids who don't know how to tie shoes, and then you end the school year with kids who those same kids now know how to tie shoes. I don't have to touch their slimy shoelaces anymore. That's great. So validating. Do all of them learn how to tie their shoes? No. Or is it just the kids who wear shoelaces? Because we are anti-shoelaces in my family. It kind of depends. Like, I'll help some kids if they're like, no, I want to do it. Like, let me try. I'll be like, okay, let's do it together. I'll walk them through the steps. And then I do have like a little thing in the classroom that I could help them with, like a model, but it's not something we're teaching all the kids. Oh, okay. You're not like, okay, shoelace time. No. Cool. Yeah. That would be cool though. I'm not against it. I feel like, should we like create a school for shoes? A shoe school? Just shoe school. Just, they've got to have that. Designing shoes? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. Are you loving being a teacher? Are you like, man, all I want to do is stay around kids? Or are you at a point where I'm like, I'm done with sticky yuck kids. Keep them at work? It's a deep question. I mean, I do love kids.
That is a deep question.
I mean, I love my job, but there's a lot of like decision fatigue and like mental load with being around the kids all day, and like so many of them that are so young.
Kids are 6 to 7,
Right.
and then are you 7 to 8 at your age, or are you older than that? Like, how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 24.
Oh, I thought you were like 8 or 9. I didn't realize you were 20. It was a bad joke. It was a really bad joke. We're going to cut all of that.
Okay.
Don't even worry about that. That didn't happen. Hey, so kids are really cool. How many kids do you have in your life right now?
So there's 24 in my class, and then I have obviously our little Poppy.
Oh, Poppy.
Yeah. And then my other cousin is expecting, so that's exciting.
Yeah, a little boy coming to the family soon, which is freaking exciting. Now, I know this about you because we are cousins. I got to grow up with you, which is super exciting. While only being about 10 years older than you, I got to know you as a tiny baby, but then now get to know you as like a full-blown professional adult who is like passionate about what you do and who you are. And as cool as that is, I also want to know like what your life is like outside of school. What do you do for fun? And then how do you get out there and explore? What is your personal learning style?
Ooh, that's a good one. I am not a learner from reading. I am definitely a more hands-on type of person. And then like stuff I do to kind of de-stress and get out of that emotional
school professional atmosphere of just like
I
life.
do a lot of running, so that kind of helps like de-stress, like gives me something to just focus on. That's me time. And then outdoorsy, summer's coming up. I love to hike. Can't wait to get out there and do that again.
Favorite place that you've hiked?
I like the State Line Lookout in Alpine,
New Jersey,
Yeah.
up Route 9, I think.
Yeah.
That's a fucking dope view because you get to see like New York,
Right.
but also like green all around you and water. It's
like a workout type of hike. Like you got to get in there.
That sounds absolutely terrible to me. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I have fun.
Yeah. I've seen kids do it.
Yeah.
I'll be going around and I'm like, whew, these little kids taking
Impressive.
these big steps. Yeah.
Talking about big steps, what is it like seeing the children that you've taught now move on into taking those other steps, going into the next grade, or, maybe they're doing other things. Maybe they leave the school. Like, how do you process some of that stuff of like still loving your kids, but then they're not really your students anymore?
Right. Which is a little emotional because like it's a whole school year of being like that kid's person, like that kid's go-to person, and then to see them kind of move on to the next grade and like they'll come say hi to me, but I'm not necessarily their direct link to emotional support anymore. They have other people for that now. Is a little emotional, but it is nice to see them grow, to have more people. Like,
right,
I'm
because
learning
they're not
multiplication now. Like, no way.
Well, that's crazy. Yeah, like, no, you didn't know how to tie your shoes last week. How are you learning multiplication now? Oh, yeah, you're not no longer their emotional person. You are an additional, like, I also find that sometimes a little jarring when Poppy runs into someone else's arms and like hugs somebody or, feels more comfortable maybe, or literally just like doesn't want me for like 2 seconds. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, but I'm your everything, I thought. But it's so great because I'm still that person. I can still be that person. But now there are other people who can also be that person. And then there's that community. And so I hope that you stay that person. So that kid who's now in 2nd, 3rd grade learning multiplication, but gets into a fight or a disagreement with a friend and says like, oh, I'm going to go ask Mrs. O'Connor, right?
Yeah.
That's
so
what they call you?
Miss O'Connor, right.
Yeah.
I do lunch duties, so I do get that exposure a little bit where like the other kids that I've had previously are coming up to chat with me.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so I get the output that way.
I love that. Mostly because I remember being in the lunchroom and remembering and seeing like my cool teachers. And that is something that I look at you and I'm like, you are good. Like, I can distinctly remember my favorite teachers. I can remember their smile. Like, I can remember seeing them. You are that to kids.
Yeah.
Like, I love that for you.
So the oldest class I have now are only just fourth graders. And I remember they were doing something like out of pocket. Like, so I was like, come on, guys. Like, we know better than that. I was like, I don't yell. And one of the fourth graders interjected, like now with their more vocabulary, and was like, no, you're right, Miss O'Connor. Like, you don't yell. Like, you tell us how it is, and like, we'll fix it. And I was like, that was so validating. Thank you.
Like, you're right. Thank you so much for telling me that, like, okay, we're on.
And then I didn't have to yell to do it, and they recognized that, and they respected that. And I was like, wow, like, that was so validating.
We're like that, like, eye to eye. We're seeing each other right now. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Do you have siblings?
Yes. So I have 3 siblings, 1 older, 2 younger. The younger one's still in high school.
Wow. Yeah. So you're essentially teaching and then still have a sibling who's in a school setting. That I feel like has to be a weird setting to learn in. What type of traveling did you guys do when you, traveling as a family? Right. What was traveling as a family like?
So we were a very big, like, outdoorsy family. So camping would be our number 1 vacation spot every summer. We were going camping once or twice. And then, like, amusement parks. Like, that would kind of be our summer vacation vibes.
I also remember amusement parks and camping with your family. Yeah. And, like, whether my entire family would come along or if just I got to sneak in on, like, your family vacations, it created such a level of, like, exploration because of, I think, all the age differences.
Yeah.
So we were able to really, like, go off and be like, oh, the 2 of us are going to go
on a bike ride.
Yeah, right. On a bike ride, or we're going to go down to the pool and, like, hang out, just the kids.
Yeah. And then we would go to ones that were very, like, kid-centered, so they would have, like, kid-based activities for different age groups, so it would be nice to be like, oh, like, I'm 10, and this is geared towards 10-year-olds, like, I'm able to go off and do this, while my older brother gets to go off and do archery, fishing, or whatever. Archery.
Yeah. Okay. I'm learning also now as a parent, going to some of these places, how inclusive places can be and how exclusive places can be.
Yeah.
And, like, the places that are essentially like, oh yeah, we have crayons for kids. Like, that's it. Here's this like little piece of, I don't know what Crayolas are made out of, but I'm like, like wax. A piece of wax plastic. Here's your fun. And then the places that we wind up actually going to, like we went to this brewery where they had in the, like, center of the place was, like, a yard with, like, a jungle gym, and, like, all the parents brought their kids, and there was a section for, like, littles. There was a section for, like, bigs. And then there was a section for, like, just the kids who wanted to walk on soft sections, where, like, we're learning to walk. And so parents had areas to, like...
I have thoughts on that. I feel like the places that throw crayons at the kids are, like, we see children as needing to morph into little adults. Like, here's something to keep you entertained, to sit at a table, instead of that brewery that was, like, actually thinking about what kids need. Mm-hmm. And here are some places for them to safely explore and be in this environment.
Be kids. And a place where the parents can also, like, there's still so much separation of adults and children as totally different entities, and, like, kids not being the word contributions to
able
the
to be like a part of the community in the way that like adults are.
Yeah,
like,
you're not providing, health services. You're not making money. You're not working the farm like you used to, or having babies, or doing these things that attribute success or
just like the adults need like their place. Like we don't want a crying baby like quote unquote in our space. Like why not?
Yes.
Like, again, with empathy then teaching my classroom, why are adults not held to the standard of having empathy for like other community members?
Other community members, and even not community members. And unfortunately, we see it on all of our travels, and it's so unfortunate, but there's so much love in this country. There's so much love everywhere, but so often people think that they can't give love to people who think differently or behave differently.
Yeah.
And now that we're adults, we can't continue to like love. We hang out with a lot of kids, and we can help influence those good habits, those spaces. Speaking of being a safe space, how do you feel you get to show up? I can think of like one specific teacher for me who showed up for me so consistently, whether I was in class, had my homework, didn't participate, having things going on at home, and being able to come to school and know that I was in a safe space. Like, how does that feel for you to have that responsibility and to be that person?
It does weigh kind of heavy because you do know some of the things that kids are going through and that we could be their safe space. Just kind of seeing the value in that and like respecting that and nourishing that is really important. Like just constantly reminding myself like these bonds are important. Like I could be their safe person.
Yeah.
And like after a long break, when they come back, like being super empathetic about how they're showing up differently because maybe they didn't have this space when they were home for a week.
Yeah. Oh man. Wow. I honestly like to think that we give Poppy such a loving space, and I forget that isn't always the case. I like to think that I'm what I'd like to call an intentional parent. I got to choose to be a parent. I got to choose to help nurture a person and help them grow, similarly to you making the choice. And I forget that not everybody has that choice. And I love that you seemingly lead by example. In moments when you feel frustrated or kind of forget, you humble yourself and remember that you are that safe space, or you can be that safe space.
And it's not that I'm necessarily playing like the blame game, like, oh, these parents.
Oh, of course not.
It's just they're doing the best
that they can.
I try to do
always.
the same to like match that in the different environments the kids are in.
So I'm gonna now ask a totally different, in terms of parents. Tell me your fucking worst parent. We don't have to put it in if you wind up thinking it's something terrible, but like you just taught me the worst thing.
That's tough.
Hey, if you need to use someone in your life who you've seen parent as an example, feel free. That was geared at your mother.
Yeah, no, I got that one. Cool. Do you mean like kids' parents, or you legit mean like?
No, I mean like kids' parents. So like,
oh, yeah.
You know, the kid's parent who never ever wants to help out with like. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking of one parent
that was just kind of like this kid had an issue with the bathroom and she was just kind of coddling him too much and we needed him to kind of grow out of it, and instead of helping him, she would kind of pick him up early and like avoid the situation or give too much supports or like require too much of us to kind of let this kid learn how to grow from it. So that was kind of tough because you can't go against her wishes, but like when I felt like her wishes were contradicting growth, it was tricky.
That's a tricky like tightrope, I guess, to walk is the word I'm thinking of, because at one aspect you are second tier caregiver, but for 6, 7, I don't know how long school is, 8 hours. How long is school?
Like 6 or 7.
Fuck, that's a long time. 7 hours a day, you are then primary caregiver. You are responsible. And when Ryan and I have arguments or disagree on ways to raise Poppy, we can sit down and talk about it. I can't imagine how difficult it is to be like, hey, so-and-so's mom, can we chat as a teacher?
Because I feel differently about this. I don't have that authority. Like, I could
it's their,
gently suggest things, but it's their
It's
kid.
their choice. It's their kid. That seems like it would be really, like, hard.
Yeah. Well, this kid's blossoming now. He's grown from it, so they figured it out for him.
I truly love just your entire experience of children now. Like, seeing the public school system as a human who went through it, and now seeing it as somebody who's like, I want that for my kid, because maybe not because I loved school, I don't think I loved school or that my friendships, I just think it was a good experience. I think public school can be so fucking great.
Yeah.
And I think if we have teachers who are passionate and I think, unfortunately the system started in a bad place. It's a little bit corrupt. I don't know. I can't talk too much to it. I don't know how much you can.
Especially here in New Jersey, just because there's so many different townships and each small little 1-mile township has its own school system, which could be completely different and completely differently funded than a different
I've heard there's something like 250 something school districts in New Jersey. And then additionally, though, you have some of the highest scores of student success. Yeah, I mean, whoever can't see us right now, whoever is actually listening to this, we are doing hardcore quotation signs. But the success of each of these students being judged and graded, New Jersey seemingly has high marks, and then has all these separate superintendents, separate, the corporate aspect of it, and then the teachers aren't seeing the benefits of that. I know teachers who out of pocket spend so much money each year on these students. And I mean, do you think you have any thoughts on why New Jersey is both successful in quote unquote numbers while seemingly having such a weird structure?
A super weird structure. And I'm not really necessarily sure about that, but I do think that we value the more progressive strategies. So my classroom, for example, might not be something that's available to students in other states because it is kind of a new style, and New Jersey is embracing it and moving forward with it. So we're giving kids those different opportunities. And I guess that's coming from like the top down, like state government down.
Yeah, so state government seemingly making somewhat decent decisions, but I don't know. 250 something separate school districts seems like a lot for such a tiny state. But again, who wants to come be on the show? We can talk about it. I would love to hear more about why New Jersey is structured the way it is, if anybody knows. A couple other things I want to ask you. What is your favorite? Kid comes back from summer and they went on a trip.
Okay.
Where did that kid go?
The kids in my classes travel a lot. Like, they really do.
That. They should. Yes. Yeah. Go travel. Get out there. Yeah.
Not even summer vacation, but a lot of ours went away for like spring break, and they came back and they were like, yeah, like I was at Mexico, and I was like, what was your favorite part? Oh, the swim up bar. Like, yeah, the swim up bar.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because like I got those virgin drinks.
These 6 and 7-year-olds are just swimming up to the bar. Yeah. Excuse me, virgin pina colada.
And then I had one kid that was doing a lot of hiking. Like, I think his dad was taking him to Colorado once or twice that year when I had him, and he was doing a lot of hiking with dad. And he was like, yeah, I was exhausted. Like, dad had to carry me for a lot of it. And I'm like, that's fair.
I hope that, because I can think of the stories with my family and with your family. What's your number one, if you could go anywhere, time, money, none of it's an issue, where are you going?
I want to see more national parks in the U.S.
That's so...
Yeah, like I want to get out to Colorado or Washington State.
Okay, there's this other podcast. I don't even know if I can actually talk about podcasts, and I totally interrupted you, but FamilyTrips with Seth Meyers and his brother, whose name I don't know. Josh, it doesn't matter. They always ask people, have they been to the Grand Canyon? Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
No.
And that's is that one of those
places
places
I would
that
go
you're like,
there, yeah.
Okay.
Zion Park, I think, is a big one. Yellowstone.
So what's in Colorado? What are the parks in Colorado? You just want to go.
I just know there's a lot on the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast, so I don't have the money for it yet, so I haven't gone deep diving into my hopes up.
They don't pay teachers enough.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to help us get more money so Erin can travel, just let us know. We're here.
Or put me up in a national park somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll both, if you can fly us out, we'll go to your national park and record there. It'll sound probably not good.
Probably
but maybe
echoey if we're in the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah. Sure. That makes sense.
I mean, you guys have kind of inspired me, too, to see if I was going to go travel.
You are. You're going
summer.
to.
Yeah.
We need that for you. I always am going to encourage everyone to travel. Agreed. The hardest part is being away from the people you love. But thanks to, oh my goodness, technology. Just shout out technology for all you've done for the human race. Yeah. Like, to be able to FaceTime family, like for Poppy to be able to FaceTime you when we're on the other side of the country has been so awesome, because she never forgets. She's like one of those, what are those, elephants? Elephants never forget?
Yeah,
that's the
memory.
thing. They've got like great memory. She might be an elephant. Probably a kid, but might be an elephant.
Yeah, it's nice when Elephant Poppy recognizes you on the camera. She's like,
hey,
I know that one, with a point and a smile,
Today she did a lot of, oh my gosh, that person, I know you. Point. And I was like,
bring me that way.
Bring me to that person I know. I want to thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have any questions for me? That's how it should turn around, right? No, I don't know.
I can ask.
Yeah,
I have one. What's your favorite part of nomadic parenting?
Whoa. First of all, I think this is going to be a thing I do on everyone, is let the guests ask me one question. But my favorite part of nomadic parenting is meeting new people, I think. We have met so many different people from so many different, like, countries, continents, fucking states, ethnicities. The people have been the best part. And I think that is probably the best thing for the world right now, is like, go meet people, find out about other people, because we're like in our own space and we're forgetting that other people are out there. So get out there, meet people, shake hands. Get off the internet, but stay on the internet, because it is also good. But like, go have a fucking adventure. Go have an adventure today.
That's your call to action.
Call to action. And what are you doing? Go have an adventure. Ugh. All right. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please click that follow button. And if you have the time to give us a review, I would so appreciate it. If you know anybody who's interested in travel, parenthood, and chaos, tell them about this show. The more people, the better. And if you'd like to learn more about us, please head to nomadicadventures.buzzsprout.com for access to all our information. And I can't wait for next week. Bye.